Box office top 10 this week at number 14, Tornado. The wonderfully named Dempsey Bretherton, who I'm sure is a character in some classic novel. Saw Tornado with my son at the luxurious Liverpool Everyman this morning with 3 other people in the screening room. Oh. It was bliss.
Good.
This was a birthday treat for us, as we both have birthdays in June. He's 35 and I'm 70. We both loved this movie. Fabulous casting throughout, clear storyline, but with surprises along the way. Great atmosphere, beautiful sets, music and sound were amazing. Tim Roth, outstanding. Jack Loudon, amusingly convincing. A nice cameo from Joanne Whalley. Just the right length to entertain us both. Well done to everyone involved, says Dempsey.
Yeah, good. Excellent. I'm a big fan of the film. I like the filmmaker very much. And again, James King's quote, it's the Scottish samurai movie you didn't know you needed, is exactly on the money.
Number 10 is Clown in a Cornfield. Catriona says, Dear Morrissey and Ma, I was interested to hear you sing the title Clown in a Cornfield to the tune of Rat in My Kitchen. What am I going to do? Whenever I've seen the title, the first tune that comes into my head is Girlfriend in a Coma. You have to elongate the word clown slightly, but it does work.
Cornfield, I know. No, it doesn't quite work though, does it?
And Catriona signs off by saying, I know, it's serious.
Well, so, yes, I think we should encourage emails about film titles that you have to sing to popular songs. Let's maybe move away from the Smiths, but Clown in a Cornfield does exactly what it says on the tin. There's a cornfield, there's lots of clowns, and it's kind of goofy fun. It's unremarkable, but I enjoyed it whilst I was watching it.
So should it be clowns in a cornfield?
Well, yes, technically it is clowns, although there is the Uber clown, the symbol of the local business is the clown who is in the cornfield. But then there are many clowns later on.
Is there just one cornfield?
Well, define one cornfield. There's a lot of corn, but I don't think we were ever shown the perimeters. I'll write to them and check it out.
Because it could be clowns in the cornfields.
That's the sequel.
Maybe that's the follow. That's
the sequel.
One, yeah. Number 9, Pepper meets the baby cinema experience.
As we said before, this is basically a sort of introduction to going to the cinema for the very, very young. And if it gets the very, very young interested in going to the cinema, more power to it.
Number 8 is The Ballad of Wallace Island.
There's a review of The Ballad of Wallace Island. It was in T2, and you can access it really, really easily. You just subscribe, and then you download T2, and then it's on your device, and you can listen as many times as you like.
Number 7 here and number 7 over there, Final Destination Bloodlines.
Yeah, and who knew that at this point in the series they'd make what is one of the best of the series? So it seems to be doing well. What's interesting is I have now had this conversation with many critics, and the standard response to it is, it was much better than we thought it was going to be. And that's exactly right.
So we have a run of 3 colon titles. So Final Destination Bloodlines is at number 7. Number 6 is Karate Kid : Legends.
Put a spring in my step. Even when I turned up at the screening, very miserable. I enjoyed it.
Number 5 in the UK, number 4 in Canada, From the World of John Wick : Ballerina.
I like watching Ana de Armas kick people in the head. I like the 7 minutes or so in which Keanu is in it. It is a complete car. We've had a couple of emails from people saying, well, I really enjoyed it. Why are you complaining about it being a car crash? Because if you look at the best of the John Wick movies, they're not car crashes. They're coherent. This isn't coherent, but that doesn't mean I don't enjoy watching Ana de Armas kick people in the head.
Number 4, Jason keeping his end up.
Is that what they're calling it now? Is that like
the Salt Path? Fortunately, he doesn't keep his end up in this particular film.
I'm sure there is a territory in Europe in which the translated title of the Salt Path, because they do that when they release films in different territories, they change that. So, like, I think it was it's in one of the Eastern territories in which A Star Is Born is the literal translation of the title is Bitter Tears of Little Singing Star. Anyway, yes, Jason keeping his end up very nicely in Salt Path, which is doing very well. Bear in mind, look at the movies around it. Mission Impossible, Lilo and Stitch, From the World of John Wick, Legends. This is a very small movie that is holding its own against a blockbuster market. That is impressive.
Holding your own is the same as keeping your end up, isn't it, really? Just to be clear.
Yes, it's just generally yes. Soldiering on.
Number 3, Mission, as you mentioned, Mission Impossible - The Final Reckoning.
Yes. Well, I mean, to repeat what we've said before, first hour, second hour, wow, third hour, wow, 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 wee, wow.
Number 2 here, number 2 in Canada, Lilo and Stitch.
So this is now in its fourth week, still right up there at the top of the charts. I mean, not quite at the top of the charts, but does go to show that recognizable IPs will pull in the punters, regardless of whether or not we needed a live action remake of an animation that was perfectly fine the first time, which brings us to the number 1 spot.
How to, train your dragon. Email from Jay, who says, I would like to give my little experience with the live action 2025 version of How to Train Your Dragon.
Sure.
Here in
Go
America,
ahead.
June is Pride Month. I would like to give a shout out to writer, director, and producer of the How to Train Your Dragon movies, Dean DeBlois, who is openly gay. I am old enough to have missed all the animated movies. I barely knew they existed. I saw DeBlois talk in an interview how his own homosexuality informed the story of the movies and how in some ways it could be read as a gay allegory. This piqued my interest and I went to the theatre. I saw the live-action How to Train Your Dragon movie first. What I saw was a beautiful story of a father struggling to understand his son who feels different. I was blown away by the subtle emotions of the actors, the unsaid subtext simmering below the surface of scenes. In fact, it was one of my favourite movies I've seen in a long time. Usually my movie preferences are James Ivory, not fantasy with dragons. After hearing Mark's review, I was puzzled he didn't see what I'd seen. I found the animated classic and watched it for the first time, saw it for the first time, second in this viewing sequence. While the animated original was undeniably charming and magical, and the dragon was far more adorable, it honestly lacked that emotional depth of the father-son relationship. Of course, it was there, but the animated figures couldn't convey the emotions or nuance I had found in the live-action version. In short, the live-action felt like it was a story of father and son. The animation felt like it was a story of an adorable flying dragon. I wonder whether people's nostalgia is getting in the way.
Okay, well, I don't know that it's nostalgia in my case in terms of the animated How to Train Your Dragon, because I don't know that I have got great nostalgic memories of it. Firstly, the first thing to say is I am really glad that you had that experience with the film. And I think that I did say in the review that the thing about How to Train Your Dragon is, of course, it is about outsiders and identity. Of course, it is about those things. I assume that we take that stuff for granted since we've kind of talked about it originally in the first version. But the crucial thing is, it's yet another demonstration of the fact that that there are things that you can find in films that if you find, particularly in fantasy films, and bear in mind, fantasy is a very denigrated genre that people tend to be sniffy about. It is absolutely true that fantasy is the genre in which so many of these very, very down-to-earth, close-to-home stories can be told in a way that is universal. So I am nothing but pleased that that's how you felt about it. I am also completely unconvinced that we needed a live-action version of the animation because I have a particular fondness for animation. But I am very, very glad that you got that from it, and thank you for expressing it as eloquently as you have.